मूर्तामूर्तजगत्वपुषे नमः। ॐ मूलाज्ञानतमो भानवे नमः। ॐ मूर्तिमत्कल्पपादपाय नमः। ॐ तरुणादित्यसङ्काशाय नमः। ॐ तन्त्रीवादनतत्पराय नमः। ॐ तरुमूलैकनिलयाय नमः। ॐ तप्तजाम्बूनदप्रभाय नमः। ॐ तत्त्वपुस्तोलसत्पाणये नमः। ॐ तपुनोडुपलोचनाय नमः। ॐ यमसंयुतसत्कीर्तये नमः। ॐ यमसंयमसंयुताय नमः। ॐ यतिरूपधराय मौनिने नमः। ॐ यतीन्द्रोपास्य विग्रहाय नमः। ॐ मन्दारहाररुचिराय नमः। ॐ मदनायुतसुन्दराय नमः। ॐ मन्दस्मितलसत्वक्त्राय नमः। ॐ मधुराधर्पल्लवाय नमः। ॐ मञ्जीरमञ्जुपादाब्जाय नमः। ॐ मणिपट्टोलसत्कटये नमः। ॐ हस्ताङ्कुरितचिन्मुद्राय नमः। ॐ हठयोगपरोत्तमाय नमः। ॐ हंसजप्याक्षमालाढ्याय नमः। ॐ हंसेद्वाराध्यपादुकाय नमः। ॐ मेरुशृङ्गतटोल्लासाय नमः। ॐ मेघश्याममनोहराय नमः। ॐ मेधाङ्कुरालवालाग्र्याय नमः। ॐ मेधापक्वफलद्रुमाय नमः। ॐ धार्मिकान्तर्गुहावासाय नमः। ॐ धर्ममार्गप्रवर्तकाय नमः। ॐ धामत्रयनिजारामाय नमः। ॐ धर्मोत्तममनोरथाय नमः। ॐ प्रबोधोद्गारदीपश्रिये नमः। ॐ प्रकाशितजगत्र्याय नमः। ॐ प्रज्ञाचन्द्रशिलाचन्द्राय नमः। ॐ प्रज्ञानान्तराकराय नमः। ॐ ज्ञानान्तरभासात्मने नमः। ॐ ज्ञातज्ञादिविदूरगाय नमः। ॐ ज्ञानज्ञात्वैकदिव्यांगाय नमः। ॐ ज्ञातृज्ञातिकुलागताय नमः। ॐ प्रपन्नपारिजाताग्र्याय नमः। ॐ प्रणतार्थ्यप्तिवाडवाय नमः। ॐ भूतानां प्रमाणभूताय नमः। ॐ प्रपञ्चहितकारकाय नमः। ॐ यत्तत्त्वमसि संवेद्याय नमः। ॐ यक्षगेयात्मवैभवाय नमः। ॐ यज्ञादिदेवतामूर्तये नमः। ॐ यजमानवपुर्धराय नमः। ॐ छत्राधिपतिविश्वेशाय नमः। ॐ छत्रसामरसेविताय नमः। ॐ छन्दशास्त्रादिनिपुणाय नमः। ॐ छलजात्यादिदूरगाय नमः। ॐ स्वाभाविकसुखैकात्मने नमः। ॐ स्वानुभूतिरसोदधये नमः। ॐ स्वाराज्यसम्पदध्यक्षाय नमः। ॐ स्वात्माराममहामतये नमः। ॐ हाट्काभजटाजूटाय नमः। ॐ हासोदस्तारिमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ हालाहलोज्ज्वलगलाय नमः। ॐ हार्दग्रन्थिविमोचकाय नमः। ॐ श्रीमेधादक्षिणामूर्तिस्वामिने नमः। ॐ श्रीदयानन्दसद्गुरवे नमः। ॐ श्रीमहेशानन्दसद्गुरवे नमः। 8:15. When I was making up the notes for today's class, after I sent the email to you, it occurred to me that I think what we should do is to revise the meaning of Karya Lingam in the class before we do the meditation. So I don't know what to do because many of the online people may not be online yet because they are maybe looking at 8:30. So what do you think? Should we go ahead and begin the class and then do meditation as part of the class?
Yes.
That's what I would like to do.
I would like to get more clarity.
Yeah, that's an important concept, and so the more we understand it and think about it and so on. It's been very helpful too in my life. And I think when I saw a very systematic, structured description of it by Swami Maheshananji on the verse number 27, that solidified a way of expressing it that I had not done so before. So very pleased with that. So let's do that. Let's begin the class, and then we will, so what we will do, once we have completed a review of the Karya Lingam on verse number 27, then we will do a meditation, and then we'll continue on with the rest of the verses. Okay? So, but let me set this up first. Hold on just a second. This is a new one, isn't it? Not seeing this web OS. Is it going through a reset? It was already on, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so I don't know why I pressed.
Did you turn it off?
I turned it on.
You turn it back on?
Yes.
So now it's, please turn it back on.
Should I do it again?
Updated software or something.
Okay.
I think it's still off. I think it's still off.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a little red dot on
Oh. Okay. Good. It goes through this dance. This one says I can't find anything. They say can't find anything.
There you go.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, good. All set. Okay, so let's start with the prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So let us chant. So let us chant Karika verses number 27 through 31. I think hopefully we'll be able to cover, maybe not. So starting with number 27. Sato hi mayaya janma yujyate natu tattvataha Tattvato jayate yasya jatam tasya hi jayate asato mayaya janma tattvato naiva yujyate vandhya putro na tattvena mayaya vapi jayate yatha swapne dvaya bhasam spandate mayaya manaha tatha jagrat dvaya bhasam spandate mayaya manaha advayam cha dvaya bhasam manaswapnena samshayah advayam cha dvaya bhasam tatha jagratra samshayah tatha jagranna samshayah manodrishyamidam dvaitam yat kinchit sacharacharam manaso hyamani bhave dvaitam naiva upalabhyate. Okay. So in this Advaita Prakaranam, the Karika is attempting to make sure that we understand what Advaitam really means in our life. How do we, it's not just a word, we should have a very good explanation in our life of what Advaita is. And so it's giving us all the material, all of the arguments, all of the concepts for us to grasp and to see the truth of it in our life. Because we don't have, we have a Dvaita Bhavam. We don't yet have an Advaita Bhavam. And that's because the right arguments for the Advaita Bhavam have not been provided to our mind. So our mind is acting in a very rational way. It says, here's what I see, and this is how I'm going to act. Sorry for the noise. This is what I see, this is how I see it. And so we have to now convince the mind that what you see is not necessarily the truth. Look at it this way. And the mind says, how? I don't understand what you're telling me. So then the Shastra gives us the ammunition to say, here's how you educate your mind. Here's how you convince your mind. And so, as we have said, I think this is going to come in the Gita class also, that the blessings of a number of things have to be done, have to be gotten. Before we change our drishti from Dvaita drishti to Advaita drishti. And so, number one is the Ishvara Kripa. So the Ishvara has to give us the right opportunity for us to transform that vision. Then after that comes the Guru Kripa. So the Guru has to be available, has to be dedicated, has to be knowledgeable, and so on. Then from there comes the Shastra Kripa. So Guru's job is to now move your drishti towards what the Shastra is saying. And as part of that, the Guru's job is to explain things also. This is what we are doing. But then the Shastra has to now take over and say, here are the arguments that you should tell your mind. Here's how you educated it. Then the last step is Atma Kripa. And the Atma Kripa is your mind. Is your mind. Because the mind is the one, mind meaning that the jiva's understanding of who I am. Because what the mind tells me is what I conclude in my life. This is what appears to me. And don't try to force things on me. This is what I understand. What do you want me to do? This is what the jiva says. So the jiva has to really educate itself, means the mind, and in a way that the wisdom dawns on it. It says, oh my goodness, you're right. I hadn't thought of it this way. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You're done. You're done. Then you're done. So it is the Advaita Prakaranam are all the Shastra Kripa in terms of understanding what the arguments should be to change from a Dvaita Drishti to an Advaita Drishti. And giving me lots of different ones and so on. So, starting with verse number 27. All right, so this is before we get to the Karya Lingam. We're coming to it next, but just a revision. The phenomena of something being born is being discussed. What does birth mean? Because why it is because we take ourselves to be born. Very obvious. We have no doubt about it. It's just that we are mixing up our jivatvam, our body-mind complex, with the self. We are completing due to the aviveka, we are mixing the two up and say, for all purposes, I was born. So here an analysis of birth is being given. What is a birth? So eventually we will find out that there is no such thing as a real birth. In the way the whole Srishti has been conceived by Ishvara, it is in the form of a manifestation of birth rather than a real creation birth. Nothing is really created. Everything is already there. So our mind says, no, sometimes it must have been created. No. The whole Srishti has always been there. Always been there. Time is not even, time was also not created. It's also part of that. So it's always been there. So, but what happens is that there is a very interesting phenomenon. That if something is there, but not appreciated, and then when it manifests, it looks like it is born. This is what the Vedanta is saying. That a thing to be perceived as born does not need to go from not being there to being there. It was already there and just not understood. And so you look at, this is what everyone is searching for, is a sense of fulfillment, a sense of completion, and a sense of purnatvam. And so we are trying to all figure out how can it be born? How can the sense of fulfillment, how can I have something? Because again, I'm borrowing from some of the concepts we are going to discuss in the Gita class today, that what we find is that our life has temporary fulfillment. We just do some small things here and there that enhances our sense of fulfillment, and while that is happening, we are already aware of the fact that it is not going to last. It's kind of like hunger. You know, when you eat something, you don't have a feeling that from now on I don't have to eat anything more. In fact, this is very interesting. You, as soon as you start eating, you have to start planning for the next meal. I remember when my mother was alive, we would be having breakfast together, and then so the cook will come in, and while we were having breakfast, he will say, so what should we have for, what vegetables should we cook for lunch? So I used to feel, hey, let me enjoy the breakfast, and my mother is already worried about the next meal. So it is for the fulfillment. The fulfillment, when we have it, whenever we are happy and so on and so forth, we don't have a feeling that this is going to last. And it doesn't. And the only funny part is that eating and the cessation of hunger is relatively easy. But to have fulfillment again is not easy. The same thing that you gave you fulfillment one time does not give you fulfillment again. Anyway, I want to go on. So we don't really have fulfillment in our life, but we want to. And so the thinking is, can I do something that the fulfillment will last? And then there are lots of promises are given. So then there is what is called apekshika fulfillment, relative fulfillment. There is no atyantika fulfillment. There is no paramarthika fulfillment. But there is atyantika fulfillment, means there is relative fulfillment. And for there, then all kinds of tall claims are made. That if you do puja, and then you go to Vaikuntha, and then you'll merge with Vishnu, or you'll go to heaven, then you will have total fulfillment. No, cannot happen. Because that means there is a birth of fulfillment, of permanent fulfillment. And there is no such thing as a birth at all. And so it doesn't mean that there is no fulfillment. It just means there is fulfillment, you just do not understand it. And so this is the sense of Gaudapada's teachings. Please see the fact. Be factual. Don't make up things. And this sentiment is carried into Karya Lingam, which we will come to next. Means be factual. Don't make up things on your own and say, I think I'll pretend there is a birth of total fulfillment. Not possible. It is exactly, even mathematically, this is not there, as we have said it many times before. Swami Dayanandji, I think, impressed upon this very early in my life when I first met him. That was, he impressed me. He says infinity is not something you can approach. You cannot keep on adding things and make it infinity. You can make it very large, but it's not infinity. And we seek infinity. And the only way is that you are infinity and you don't know it. That logic just, my goodness, clicked on me. Absolutely. In the first few days I met him in 1976. Amazing. And so this is the logic that the Vedanta gives. That don't fool yourself by beginning something, but be aware of the fact that it appears to be beginning when it is not there. That part is okay. Anyway, so that I won't go any further on that, but now switch over to Karyalingam. Karyalingam means that things have to happen as they happen, and you cannot pretend it otherwise. You cannot assume things otherwise. Okay, so let's go to Karyalingam and we'll begin with that. Okay, so here is the thing. In verse number 27, in the commentary on the verse number 27, I think this commentary could have been given anywhere else, but Swami Maheshananji thought it appropriate to bring it at this point. And what he's saying is that a truth of things, a truth of things can be truthfully known by only by observing its effects. So presumption can be wrong or right, that's possible. But the derivation of truth from its effect can never be wrong. So take a blindness. So blindness means that a person may appear to be blind, but may not be blind. You're wearing these dark glasses, and he's got his white stick, and he looks like he's fumbling around, and so on and so forth. But you really don't know. I don't know, I think it was as part of this explanation, or maybe it was something else, but it was very interesting. I forget, Swami Maheshananji gave an example of, it might have been either Anandagiri or Adi Shankara itself. He says, I'll give you a recipe. Why am I making so much noise? He says, I'll give you a recipe for being a very successful shopkeeper. Very successful. He says, this is a sure short thing. What should you do? The shopkeeper should come in with some this kind of nice clothes, Gerua clothes and so on and so forth. Looks like a Swami. And then you should take a mala and have it in your hand all the time. And just be saying, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Yes, can I help you? As though you're interrupting my, and so on and so forth. So the person says, I'm looking for such and such. Oh, yes, we have it. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah. Please go help him, and so on. So what does it do? It means that the person says, whatever this guy says must be true. If he's overcharging, that is true. He says this works all the time. Absolutely. The fellow has absolutely no think. All he's thinking of it is, oh good, I'm overcharging this guy also now, another victim. He's not doing Om Namah Shivaya or anything. So you cannot tell. So this is, you cannot tell. You have to see the effect of it. What is the real effect of it? So the blindness cannot be presumed. Even the doctor cannot see it. Only the person who is blind can tell, I am blind, by the effect of it. I could not see anything. And therefore I must be blind. I am blind. And some people become blind. So this is one part of it. Then we saw the example of this person who was very thin, and this greedy guy was looking for a thin pandit who cannot eat that much. He gave him the job to do the puja, and he completely fooled him by eating more than what was possible. So the example here is, you cannot presume that this person is thin, therefore he cannot eat. You have to see the results. This is an interesting example because it's going to persist for a minute. I'll show you why. But now you get fooled by the experience that he's eaten half of my food. And that means I'm never going to invite him again, if I'm such a greedy person. Okay, this is another one. Another example Swami Meshananji gave is that you cannot assume a person is knowledgeable about a subject matter by the way he looks, carries big books, and advertises, on this, that. Let him speak on the subject matter, then decide whether he knows the truth or not. See the person by the effect. And he gives the opposite example. He says there are some people who you find, this fellow he doesn't appear like he's a very knowledgeable person. He turns out to be an expert. He doesn't show off or anything, but he has such good knowledge. And you can only tell by listening to him, by reading his books, and say, my God, what a knowledgeable person. Okay? So this is what is called Karyalingam. Karyalingam means that only the Karya can give you an indication. Nothing else is really working, no other presumption. You've got to have the actual experience, and then you can say, yes, this is correct or this is incorrect. Okay? Now, this example, in the case of the wind, is a very interesting example. Okay? In the case of the wind, you cannot see the wind. So you cannot say it's windy unless you see the effect of the wind. With one exception. You can feel it. You may not be able to see it, but you can, as soon as it touches your hand or your hair or something, you say, it's very windy. There may not be any trees around. There may be nothing moving at all. Leave aside the hair example. Let's just say your hand, and you can feel it. But at least you can feel it to determine it is windy. Okay? So there is some things available. Now let us come to the real issue. In ascertaining the self, in ascertaining the truth of the self, there is no other way except Karyalingam. At least in the case of the wind, you don't have to see, you may not be able to see it, but you can touch it. But in the case of Atma, it is totally agrahyam, grahya rahitam. It is nirvikaram. It is nirgunaha. There is nothing it can give. Cannot directly touch it. You cannot see it because the toucher is the Atma. The seer is the Atma. How are you going to touch? You cannot see the battery of the flashlight. The flashlight says, no, I want to really see the battery. Hey, the battery is the one that is making the flashlight. So there's no way to directly perceive the self. But there is a way. There is a way. And the way is Karyalingam. And the Karya Lingam, if you just understand and are wise to it, is a sure short method. Because it is like all the other examples. You don't have any presumption. You don't make any philosophies about it. And right, Vedanta is not a philosophy. It is a knowledge of Karya Lingam. Philosophy is that this thin person cannot eat very much. This is a philosophy. But once you find out, oh my gosh, then philosophy gives rise to knowledge. Okay. Another thing. There can be a doubt, and people do it. So all these schools of thought, when there is a discussion and so on, and it says, oh, wait a second. You are saying that you can only understand the self through its effect. So we say yes. What if the effect is not there? Is the effect always there? No, we don't think that it will always be there. We know it is not always there. Like, for example, in deep sleep, there is no karyam. It is pure consciousness. There is no manifestation of anything. There is no guna of any kind or not even a possibility of. Thank goodness, I can immediately tell this is changed, so I can change it. That there is not even possibility of making a mistake in deep sleep. At least you can say that the presumption doesn't work for Karya Lingam, but at least you can it does give you some manifestation. Deep sleep you cannot. So what about that? That means that you cannot understand that. So there we say that once to initially know it, it has to be done through Karya Lingam. Initially you have to understand through Karya Lingam, then Karya Lingam can disappear. Doesn't always have to be there. You see, but initially, like in the case of the person who eats a lot, the capacity to eat, this is Swami Mahesharanji's examples, really. I'm just giving you the English translation. He says that once the husband and wife who are both very miserly and they are looking for pandits that don't eat very much, then once you know him, you don't have to invite him again. That means there is no karya. There is no karya. But guess what? The reason you will never invite him is the memory of the karya. The memory of the karya is there, that this person eats a lot, and even though he is no longer there, you see, that's the point. It doesn't matter. Even though he is no longer there, he is a heavy eater. This is the Karya Lingam. So now I think we're pretty much done. I think I have some more things to do anyway. So now, before we do the meditation, so Ishvara, this is an important point to see. Really is a very interesting thing to see. It's hard to appreciate this, but this is the truth. People ask, what is the purpose of creation? This is our doubt. Why is it all done? Believe it or not, the answer is for you to know you are as good as Ishvara. Not the responsibility of Ishvaratvam, not the form. You don't need that. That is a big job. It's a big job. You don't need that. But the very essence of Ishvara, which is total fulfillment, total vairagya. I don't need anything. I'm happy the way I am. No desire. The very swarupa of Ananda. Ananda swarupa. This is what we all want. This is the purpose of life. And you cannot tell unless there is karya. So the whole creation is done, so you look at it and interpret it intelligently. We don't do that. When we look at the world, we immediately conclude there is dvaita, there is plurality, there is problems. It isn't. And so the very purpose of the creation is to help you to understand that you are nothing but Brahman, the very essence of Ishvara. Believe it or not. This is the purpose of life. If we didn't have all these things, you'll never be able to guess. So now this is one thing. Now let's look into the same thing from the standpoint of magic. So this is another example of Karya Lingam. See, it's a beautiful example. In fact, I think this is the best example of Karya Lingam. How? Because you cannot tell a person is a magician unless he or she can show you the magic. You cannot just advertise and say, I'm a magician, and all you do is some card tricks that even an 11 or 12-year-old can also do. Every time I meet my granddaughters, they have a new card trick, and it's not magic, just a trick. But magic means, it is an amazing thing. Even up to this day, I have no idea. In fact, the very essence of magic is, how can that happen? You find a young woman lying down on a bench, and then she's covered, and then suddenly you find that she is separated. Her legs are on one side and the head is on the other side. And you say, oh my God, what happened? And she's smiling. While this is going on, it's not as though she's really been cut. And it is amazing. And Swami Maheshanji gives this so many good examples. He says, people will, so the magicians, they will all give you these 1,000 rupee notes. They just have some pieces of paper, and all of a sudden there is a bunch of 1,000 rupee notes. Then you can say, touch it. And he says, yes, this looks exactly like, how did it happen? And Swami Maheshanji says, if he really was there, you think he'll be begging for a few pennies. He can make all these 1,000 rupee notes and then go home. Magic. So the magic is only known, a magician is only known by the magic. And so in the same way, the whole world is a magic. The whole creation is a magic. How can I take myself to be a jiva? I mean, this is the question we all have, that you're talking about you're saying that you're Brahman and you're free and so on and so forth, but how did I become just a limited, foolish person? How did it happen? Magic. Maya is a magic. And then we say, this is an important point to see, that in a magician showing a magic, the magician is real, but the magic is mithya. If both of them are mithya, it won't work. It won't work. One has to be solid, on which all the whole magic is woven around. Yeah, so I think this is the last point, and I will just wrap it up. So therefore, if Jagat is magic, then the Jagat Karanam is the real magician. And as it shows in the, shows very well in the Ashtavakra Gita and all the Nididhyasanam Paravakyas and so on, that what we need to do is to substitute Brahman with I. In the entire Ashtavakra Gita, when Ashtavakra is teaching Janaka, we might take up that. It's a very beautiful text, and I think it's a possibility we might take it up. It's a pretty long text, but anyway. Swami Paramarthananda made a very interesting point when he was teaching this. He said, in the entire book of Ashtavakra, the word Brahman is never used even once. It is all I. So what we need to do is to see this relationship between the magic and myself. How I view the things around me in relation to myself. This should be the subject of our meditation. So with that, let us switch over to a short not a very long meditation. But then this is the thought behind it. Karyalingam means that one should be able to see from its effects what one is. Karyalingam cannot be proven right or wrong. You have to experience this. Only from there, when you experience the magic, then you can tell, yes, this is a magician. And a magic is not possible without a real magician. So with that, let us do a short meditation. Pratasmarami Tridisam Spuradatmatattvam Satchit Sukham Paramaham Sagatim Turiyam Yat swapna jagara sushuptam avaiti nityam tad brahma nishkalamaham nacha bhuta sangaha. I meditate on the fact that the Vedantic teachers tell us, the Acharyas tell us, that seeing the presence of the Self, seeing the Atma, seeing I, the very nature of myself, is the easiest thing in the world. We make it very hard by making a presumption that I cannot be what I am seeking. I make this silly but damaging presumption. And that is, since I am seeking, I cannot be what I am seeking. This is the trick of Maya. This is the trick of my personal ignorance. So the Acharyas say that the Self is the easiest thing to see. Because it is already you. You are never lost. You are always there. And the way to quote unquote see or to appreciate yourself is not to seek yourself like you seek other things. Instead, look at Karyalingam. Just appreciate the effects of who you are. Appreciate that things appear to happen to you. And yet they don't happen to you. Good and bad things happen to you, or so it appears. But upon analysis, you find you're still the same. Childhood happened to you. Childhood is gone. You are still there. Youth happened to you. Youth is gone. You are still there. There are no traces of childhood or youth. See that things are born in you. Things may stay for a while in you. And things dissolve into you without leaving a trace. Like an ocean, where things happen but leaves no trace. Small waves, big waves, it does not change the water. I am an ocean of consciousness. Chidakasha. All the effects, all the karyas make an appearance in me. Childhood, youth, good things, bad things, and yet I remain the same. Ocean of consciousness. I meditate upon this fact. Things come alive. A childhood, a child is alive because of me. It's like a small wave because of the water. Karyalingam. See this fact. Things appear and disappear, may last for a while, makes no difference to me, the ocean of consciousness always remains the same. So my search needs to be seen in this manner. My sense of limitedness is simply karya, an effect. The self, myself, is not incomplete. The sense of incompleteness is just an effect. It arises in me, disappears from time to time. It resolves back into me. I remaining the same. So the search for the self should take a form of observing the various effects, the various karyas that appear in me and then disappear in me. I, the consciousness, remaining the same. I am the observer of the childhood. The same person is the observer of youth. The same person is observer of good and bad. May I meditate in this manner. Karya Lingam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Okay, so let us go on to the next verse. Number 28. Asato Mayaya Janma Tattvataha Na Eva Yujyate Vandhyaputraha Na Tattvena Mayaya Vapi Jayate. Okay. So this shows this is a logic that is explaining the phenomena of manifestation that we saw earlier. The phenomena of manifestation was discussed earlier, the very beginning, that a thing to be perceived as born doesn't really have to be born. All you have to do is to not know that it was born, and when it comes to manifestation, to feel that it is born. This is the idea. This is the central part of Vedantic thinking. So in verse number 28, it says that there are many schools of thought, and Buddhism is the example of that, where the birth is presumed to be from nothingness. In fact, in case of Buddhism, what they say is that central to the birth is destruction. Something must disappear before something else comes. So they say, for example, that bijam, which is a seed, must cease to be a seed in order to become a plant. So therefore, the destruction of the bijam is the reason for the birth of the plant, of the ankura, sprout. And we say no, because it's something which is not there, because in in the case of the Buddhistic thinking, and others thinking also, that something was not there and it gives rise to birth. And we say that is not possible. Something which is not there at all cannot be there, cannot be born. It can only already be there but not seen. Again, just a repetition of that. So in this second line it says Vandhya Putraha. Vandhya Putraha, here's the example, is that a barren woman giving birth to a child is not possible. Okay? So there are all kinds of modern things about, the ways to preserve the eggs and so on. We're not talking about that, but just the old traditional fact that if you find that a woman is incapable of giving birth, so there is the son of a barren woman is a non-existent thing. And then here we can also say that, for example, a square circle is another one, or a cup that can be born out of water or air is not possible. Even from a sand it is not possible, but only from a clay it is possible. And in a clay it may be possible, but it is not there yet. So the possibility is there, but the manifestation of the cup has to require some manipulation by the pot maker. So it says that asataha means one which has no truth at all. Even mayaya janma is not possible, and tattvataha also it is not possible. Tattvataha naiva yujyate, asataha maya janmana yujyate. Not possible. And so Vandhya Putraha na tattvena mayaya vapi, not possible. So it strengthens the logic that the so-called birth is really just a manifestation. And this is how Ishvara has created the whole. It's already there. Everything is already there. So this is the verse number 28. Let's go on to number 29. So here a phenomena is pointed out. Yatha swapne dvayabhasam spandate mayaya manaha tatha jagrat dvayabhasam spandate mayaya manaha. So this is a phenomena which we should appreciate, because the entire Mandukya Upanishad, as you know, is to say that the Jagrat Avastha and the Swapna Avastha are almost the same. There's very little difference. So this, I think, is the central idea of the Mandukya Upanishad, the central idea of Vedanta. That this is just like you were dreaming. This is also a different kind of a dream. Dream means, in the sense, it's going to end pretty soon. There's no longevity to it. There's a little bit more longevity, but not much. So this is the idea. And the phenomena of how non-duality is turned into duality is shown in this verse. Yatha swapne dvayabhasam. So dvayabhasam means a twofold manifestation. This is an important thing to see. So what happens is, manaha, the mind, is the carrier of the manifestation of ignorance. This is the Maya Shakti that I have, my own way of thinking. How then what happens? In the case of Swapna, you are one person before you start dreaming. And now that one person gets divided into two. What are the two things? The dreamer and the dreamt. dreamer and the dream. So you make a bifurcation. Your identity is divided into two parts. This is what is called dvayabhasam. So this is called spandanam. Spandanam means it's kind of like it's, when people move around something. When you twirl, twirl is the word I was looking for. When you twirl something, it's called spandanam. So the spandanam of the mind gives rise to this dvayabhasam. And the same dvayabhasam also does it in the Jagrata Avastha. So really speaking, the Turiya which you are, in deep sleep you're always Turiya. It's not as though you are going to become Turiya, you're always Turiya. But the phenomena of the waking state is that you take dvayabhasam. You feel I am a jiva and I'm looking around at the world. So there are two consciousnesses. One is drashta, excuse me, and the other one is drishya. Both are false. But there is a difference between the dream avastha and the Jagrata Avastha. Small difference, but there. The drashta and drishya, the dvayabhasam is the same, but there is a difference. To know that this was a falseness, you have to come out of the dream. But in the Jagrata Avastha, you can know this while you are in the Jagrata Avastha. But it's the same. And there is a reason for it. There are lots of reasons for it, but our acharyas have all pointed out. The reason for that is that even after you understand that this is just not true, you're only one person, not two, you have a lot of prarabdha which has to be exhausted. Your body and your mind is a result of a lot of previous actions, and your body and mind make you what you are today. You get married, you have children, you are a citizen of a country, and those things will take their own time to fulfill the destiny. But as far as you are concerned, you already know that I am not two people, I am just one person. Both the world as well as the drishya as well as the drashta are nothing but me. And so one of the reasons is that because of prarabdha, you are going to continue for a while. The momentum is going to continue. Doesn't mean that it's false. That the falsity of the world is false. No, it is absolutely there, but the momentum is going to keep them for a while. And Swami Dayanandji and also a lot of other acharyas also point out the same thing. That suppose, because one of the issues is that as soon as I realize that I am Brahman, I should disappear, just like in the case of a dream. And so the acharyas say, if you do that, who's going to be a teacher? Because as soon as a teacher understands the reality of the self, he disappears. Disappears. Who will teach? How will this be propagated? What will happen? No. This is all part of the prarabdha. So there is a small difference between dream and Jagrata Avastha, but it is really not very tangible in that sense.
So then, this is interesting, just on the side, Swami Maheshananji also pointed out in the commentary, one has to say, how do I understand that I am the non-duality which is being split by my mind into dvayabhasam? What do I have to do? You say that when you understand while you are living that you are this, what causes it? So this is of course given in different ways. So this is what is called prakriya. Prakriya means that it's not a single method to do that. There are different suggestions made, but this is an important one. He says you have to do it in 3 stages: Viveka Darshanam, Abhyasa and Vairagya. So let's just spend a minute on that. So Viveka Darshanam means this fact has to be brought up in your mind again and again. This Viveka of that I am, because that both Drishya and Drashta are nothing but me alone. And so we'll spend more time on it obviously, but all the teaching there is to strengthen this Viveka. So this is not just Viveka, but Viveka Darshanam. You have to see this Viveka. And you see this by Abhyasa. By Abhyasa. So in some ways, this is really just Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam, in different ways of explaining. Because sometimes when you hear the same thing, it just, you don't pay any attention to it. It looks like, oh yes, I know what that is. But this is, Abhyasa means that you will not wake up, so-called waking up from the waking state, until you make it into a go and really look at it again and again. And then the last step is that this is again is Karya Lingam. And again means that how will we know that the person has understood the whole thing? Vairagya. You cannot presume. Just like the capacity of a thin person to eat, you cannot presume. You have to, this is, I would say, is really the test of understanding whether the person, there's no other way to tell whether the person has become a realized soul. There's no way. No matter what long your beard is and what you wear and what you say and what you teach, or nothing. Nothing. But if things don't matter to that person, at least something which things are that are trivial, there are no hang-ups in the life of a person. That is the only way. And you can only see that from the behavior of the person. And there's no other way to do that. And really speaking, only the person can tell. Only the person can tell. No one can really presume. So this is how the stage comes in the middle of the Jagrata Avastha, where you wake up even though the body and the mind, etc. continue on for a while. So this is number 29. What I think we should do is to stop and just allow for some discussion and questions, and we'll take up, I have all the material for 30 and 31 also. In fact, I think both 29 and 30 are covered by this. So we can even read number 30.
Advayam cha dvayabhasam manaha swapnena samshayaha Advayam cha dvayabhasam tatha jagrat na samshaya. Means that just like we see very clearly with respect to the swapna, that one thing becomes two. They were not two already. So this is another thing about the birth. So the birth of the swapna is an apparent birth. There is not two people born. It is just an experience. The same thing is true in Jagrata Avastha. You were always one person. Unlimited. The very ocean of consciousness. Always have been, will be, are. But you become limited. Na samshaya. He says, please don't doubt. So that's number 30. And so we will do 31 as part of the next class. Then which will be on the 8th, I think, of February when I come back from India. I should be back on the 3rd, God willing. And then we will have the next class on that. Om Swasti Prajabhyav Paripalayantam Nyayena Margena Mahim Mahisha Go Brahmanidya Shubhamastu Nityam Loka Samastha Sukhino Bhavantu Kale Varshatu Vajjanyah Prithvi Sasya Shalini Desho Yanksho Varahitaha Brahmana Santu Nirbhaya Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramaya Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukha Bhag Bhaved Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityo Ma Amritam Gamaya Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Yeah, Kalpana.
So, going back to Karyalingam, to understand the truth about myself, I have to observe the effect, which is the world.
Correct.
And then
And effect, and also my own thoughts. That's
Right.
also part of the world.
Yeah, so that's where I was coming.
Okay.
That, it's easy to see that childhood came and went, youth came
Correct.
and went without leaving traces. But a lot of traces are left in your mind,
Correct.
especially about sukha, dukkha, hurts, and etc.
Yeah.
So how to see that?
So those are also, it's kind of like a trail that will eventually disappear. Eventually disappear. It's not as though it's permanent to you.
You just have to see that. You just have to have that patience to see that.
Patience and also the wisdom and viveka to see it, not just patience. You have to see the logic of it, that it is, it's kind of like, supposing there is a train that is chugging along and then it is switched off and the train is still moving, but it is not just the patience to know that the train is going to move, is going to come, but to know that it is no longer being propelled. It is going to come to a stop. So similarly, the vasanas are really nothing but leftover. It's just like, Swami Chinmayananda used to say that the vasana should be seen as the smell of onions on your hand, even after you washed it 2 or 3 times, or garlic. And so one should know that I'm not eating garlic anymore. It's just previously, and it'll go. So similarly, vasanas will go. Not a big deal.
So that's how it will, it should understand that it is not leaving any, it may leave a trace for a while, and there the patience comes in. So both viveka and patience would be important to put it in the right one. Yes, sir.
Vedanta is taking through multiple steps, as you pointed out in number of your exposition, from a totally sansari person to karma yogi to looking for jnana and ultimately
Correct.
jnana nishta. Sometimes when the words are used like creation at one point, manifestation at other point, the mind gets confused to say, are we really talking about manifestation? Just like a mirage in the desert, that this entire srishti is just simply a manifestation and not a creation. And that's what brings to the drushti shrishti vada, where it says the srishti exists only because you are there or you perceive it.
Correct.
Srishti doesn't exist in reality.
Yeah.
So my confusion sometimes comes in is when we say there is upadana karana and there is an intelligent cause and material cause, but ultimately it comes to a point which
Excuse me a
says
second.
nothing really exists.
Pardon me a second. Hello?
Hi there, my name is Tony from the podcast and
Yes.
yeah, I was just trying to follow up with you due to like a request made last night about yoga.
Correct.
I had actually found something earlier this morning and then tied it to your account for later this morning.
Okay.
I don't know if the technician did or if you've been contacted notifying you.
You know, so there was a technician coming in between 9 and 11 and I'm not there. I left a note for my wife and I don't know whether he's there or not. So I cannot tell you.
Okay.
So what is it that you needed to know?
I was just, this is my first opportunity to actually reach out this morning.
Okay. So I think I got the notice that the technician is coming and that so we will just see you know how he resolves it and we'll let you know. Okay? Thank you.
He is signed into the job and it looks like he should be there working.
Wonderful. Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. You have yourself a lovely day.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. This is a huge problem that is happening with our, somehow some change was made, our television is not working, telephone is not working, internet is spotty. And so last night the person came in and said that we cannot fix it for until Thursday. And so I'm leaving for India on Wednesday. And so I spent a lot of time with this is Comcast. And unfortunately, my home phone is not working, so they cannot even call in. And my wife, you know, she doesn't know what is happening. This is all I was doing it. And so I was waiting for this call. And so apparently now the technician is coming and I'll check with my wife in a few minutes and so on and so forth. Anyway, sorry about that. So, okay, now I understand.
I want to just finish up what
Yeah.
I wanted to say is that we are taking from a triangular format of Jiva Jagat Ishvara to Atma Anatma is the plan to ultimately get to saying it's only Atma. There is nothing else.
Of course, absolutely.
But so this is just a transition, what we are doing.
The dual format, you mean the binary
No,
format?
This is even Atma Anatma format is only provisional.
Yes,
There was
in that
just
sense, both the Atma and Anat. So,
Actually, the Atma Anatma format means it's only Atma. Because there's no duality, right? So it is just for words we say that it is Atma Anatma, but there is only Atma.
So in ultimate thing, are we saying nothing exists?
Or everything exists. You cannot say nothing exists. I exist, and I am the only one that exists.
But nothing else exists.
For me, that's true. Nothing else exists. There's no need for existence. The need for existence is only for me to know that I alone exist. As we were saying, the Karya Lingam is such that the Karyas, the manifestation, the very creation is to know that there is no creation. And once you understand it, then you are done. And whatever else happens, it's for people. And really nothing happens. You are done. You are part of the of Brahman itself. So there's nothing else that is required. Yeah. So I'm not quite sure what your doubt is. You're saying that this is an intermediate step. I would say that it is not even an intermediate step, it is the final step. So even Ishvara is a mythological, there's really no Ishvara. Ishvara and you are the same, which becomes Brahman. There's no need for anything else to be there. See?
It is so difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about the rest of the people, I can only talk about myself, is that I understand the words. I understand what the Vedanta is trying to tell me, to convince me, to have Shraddha in it, to understand it, you know. What I'm saying is to say that this world doesn't exist.
Yeah, it will happen.
The Drishti Shrishtivada is just completely
It will happen.
mind-boggling.
It will happen. I tell you, it will happen. And as those three words were given, Viveka Darshanam, Abhyasa, and Vairagya. It will happen. It's happening. And we are making it difficult. This is the whole explanation for the Karya Lingam. We're just making it unnecessarily difficult. And what appears to be very difficult is the easiest thing once you just get on to the track and understand what is happening. And so the vestiges of the old thinking, this is exactly right. There's nothing, it's praptasya praptihi. And then so that Shraddha has to be there. And then not only just Shraddha, but to really see. So I think that this Viveka Darshanam and Abhyasa and Vairagya is a very good method. Very good method. Just have Shraddha in yourself, Shraddha in the teaching, Shraddha in the Guru, that this is really going to happen. We are just being impatient. That's all. It's going to happen. And I can tell you from my experience, it is happening. And so I can see it very clearly. So this is no longer words for me. And so if it can happen for me, it can happen for you also. There's no understanding. And I'm not completely done yet. But hey, it's plain as the daylight that this is the truth. I just have to continue to do it that way, and then one day the whole thing will disappear for me. I can see that. Whether it happens in this life or next life, I don't know. But it's all the fun of life. So I think that we make it very difficult. We just absolutely, because it is praptasya praptihi. It is already done. That is the whole reason for the Karya Lingam. That we should see that nothing really is affecting me.
what Kalpana was saying about the youth and childhood is easy to see that it is no longer there. What we should see is that many other lives have come and gone. Nothing is happening. I'm still there. And you just start to meditate on it and see the truth of it, and it will dawn on you, my God, yes. And so this is where we have to really put in our own effort and work and have Shraddha in yourself. And lo and behold, it starts to become apparent. It will happen. Absolutely. So yeah, I appreciate that it looks difficult at first, but if you stare it down, it starts to retreat. It frightens you, but eventually it will recede, and the sense of your own completeness will shine through. I can just tell you that from my experience. Oh.